Hello and welcome again to Steve Longstay Vintage Radio and Electronics Workshop. Hello. Ever since I was 3 years old, which was a long time ago, I've been to electronics, and my first repair was a tape recorder. They've always stuck with me, as you know if you watch this channel regular. And the first machine I repaired was a Elizabethan Popular 400, which I've got one now. This is not a Popular 400, but it is an Elizabethan. It's not one with a BSR deck on it though, either of them. This is an LZ30 that's in a bit of a bad way, shall we say. So yeah, yeah, anyway, what we'll do with it first of all, take them off for a second like that, and look round. I've got knobs up which are gone, that's no problem. So we'll sort of four new knobs to the front here. That seems alright. That we'll come back to. The printer, this is that is not working. That's no problem. So let's have a good look at it. And the first thing we do with things like this, especially if you're anything like me, of course, is to plug it in and see what goes bang. Yeah, I know it's terrible, isn't it? So I'll get set up to do that, and then we'll come back and watch it go bang. Right, well there we go. That's not getting any dimmer, is it? That's not doing anything, that actually, and not even the motor's running here, let alone the electronics in any way, shape or form. So I wonder what, very quickly, again, nothing. So something interesting is up with this, which means that, oh, look at that there, okay. Right, well I'll think about getting this thing apart if we can. We should be able to do that pretty quickly. Again, 4 screws. I think I might possibly put new ones in there actually, if I got them. And here, which is a bit of an issue. I'll come back to that. So that one knob comes off there. There doesn't seem to be a grub screw on it, so there we go. And this here, which again doesn't seem to have a grub screw on it, so I'll do the same sort of thing. And that comes off okay, which leaves, well, okay, so now this should come off. So that one, isn't it? Okay. It's all this one here, isn't it? That's looking as though it's going to need to be drilled out. Ah, it's moving, it's moving. Hang on. We're in business here. It's moving. Okay, move some more please. There we go. That comes off, and now the whole lot should come free. So that does. And this should come off as well. There we Doesn't seem to. Hang on. We got any old screws anywhere on it? I don't think we have we? Looking tonight, actually, at home, we're talking about a hymn that we sang at school. We're talking about it because at the moment the moon here is a half moon, and it's on the wax. And of course, you know, moons have a wax and a wane, as you know if you're into that sort of thing. And it basically said, you know, so moon saw wax and wane no more, did this hymn, so that's where it came from. So if you know what it's called, not that I'd be fussy, but you know, if you do know, then please let me know, because I'd like to know, just for the sake of knowing, you know where these things are. Anyway, let's have a look, and this side's off, okay, so, oh dear, that's not being too friendly, this, is it? Oh dear, well, fair enough. You've got to come off, so you might as well come off. There you go. See, easy in no how, isn't it? So they go over there, and this is this unit in question. So if we put the this back on, whatever way it fits, it goes that way. That doesn't do much, does it? Okay, so let's have a look and find out where it's not going to. I think now that's off. Actually, I can have a quick look at that, and it could be that I just. Okay. We tried, so it's going to come out completely, because I want to know why it's doing that first of all. Now, this could be for a number of reasons. It could be a wires out of place, it could be the motor, it could literally be anything. So let's have a look and find out, shall we? So I'll get the big screwdriver out, and we'll see if we can. That's interesting. That's come off without any help, as that. So it suggests to me that this has been out before. So from that, one wonders exactly what has happened here. That one's off. That one only finger tight as well. And that one. And probably this one here as well, but it is. Right, okay, so let's pull them out and see what happens here, because this has got problems, so we need to sort those problems out, and quickly, because otherwise it's not going to do anything for us, is it? Hang on, there's a thing on the back here. What's this? Oh, this is speed control. Okay, fine. I think yeah. What a place for it. What a place for it. Okay, not to worry. Let's get it out of the case and have a look and find out what's going on. With the unit of parts on the bench, first thing I'll do is go onto the on-off switch, which is there and there. So switch it to short circuit like that and see what we get here. If it stays on there, thank you. And that is 1.16 ohms, which is not. There's 1.16 on there. Make sure that it is the right one. Jumping around a bit there actually. Okay, it's lower than it should be, let's put it that way. Now, on these machines, first thing to note is that the valves, which I've taken out, they are in ECC83 and an ECL86 in this case. I've left in the EM84 so we can see the heat and stuff if need be. So if we do that now, you see, and it comes on like that, and see what voltage we get there now, because that will tell us rather a lot. And it is appears to be, hang on, helps to go on the right band underneath it, doesn't it? 600 volts, and that's down. Okay, that being because so I'll do that now, and 240 volts there. Okay, we'll put that back on for a minute. Now, with these machines, another thing to worry about, what to be aware of at any rate, is that the valve heaters and the motor run on the AC side of it, and so for that reason, that's the first place we should look. I hope it's not a transform, but if it is, we've got one. Also, there's no speaker in this either. That's no problem. Get one of those, and obviously it needs a clean as well. But again, that's neither here nor there at the moment. What I think I will do here, actually, if anything, is look for a manual for it, because it will that will tell me an awful lot about what is not going on here. Obviously something is, but what that is at this point we don't know. I'll just very quickly go across the smoothing cap and see what's there. Nothing, and nothing, not even capacitive action there. Is there nothing? Which is I said that's been changed actually, and so of them up there. So somebody has actually looked at this and tried to find out the problem before they went any further. Simple problems can often have a simple cause as well, and in this case there were two wires touching underneath back of the on-off switch, because it takes two feeds off, one to the transformer, which I think is okay judging by that. That, by the way, is a magic eye, and it's lit up green, of course, even with a dim bulb issue. Without it goes a bit brighter, but not much, and so that's doing something. Okay, so we know from that the power supply side of it is okay. The capacitors and the smoothing caps are getting worn. They might come down as they reform. They don't are changeable. There's no problem there either. But unfortunately, the motor doesn't seem to be doing anything at all. So something is nothing quite right there. but I think that's the first place we'll go, is the motor. On these actually, there's a motor bone capping series with them, so I'm going to look at that first because they do fail, and hopefully it's that and not the motor itself. Is the motor itself, then there might be an issue on our hands here, but I'll try and something that would fit, you know, and modify accordingly. In the process of working out which valve is which here, I've got to take them out earlier on. Forgot to make a note of what went where. One of them is an ECL86, which is this one here. Now then, how to find out which is which? Well, first of all, the main anode of the pentole section of an ECL86 goes to the power directly at here, yeah. And in these it goes, these tape recorders are all very similar, by the way, although I've got a circuit on the phone. It's not the right one for this machine, but it's close enough. So it goes from there, to the 8-put transform, which is there, to the valve, which is one of these sockets here. So what we do, first of all, we go onto that one like that, switch on the meter, and go up here to the transformer and see which one. Aha, it's that one. Okay, fine. Now in that case, we know that the next one along, that's not using that one, therefore is the other half of the secondary, which goes down here, and it goes to this pin here. So this here is obviously the ECL86 main output, main audio output. So if we go to there like that, we'll do it. But first thing we do is check the lens and make sure the continuity. Which there is, and go down here, and somewhere down here there should be there. Okay. So we know therefore that is the ECL86. Once again, important, by the way, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I mentioned it again. The ECL86 and ECL82 have different pinheads at the bottom here, so you can't just swap them, which is a pity, but that's the way they did it for some reason. So I now go and put this valve back in. I now go and put this valve back in here. That will go, whichever way it does go. With that in, we now we then go and connect the speaker. Now, that point when I put power through to this thing, if we get a layer buzzing noise, then that capacitor is needs to be changed. If not, if it's getting hot, then I'll change it anyway. But the check can be sure, and also to check on the grid, because it might need a certain capacitor changing as well. So that goes in there like that, yeah. That comes out like that. That goes back over. That goes back over. And this mat is not that helpful, I must say. There we go. So that goes back over like that, and we connect the speaker and see what it gives us. So we do that, and then I'll switch it on. The speaker's connected, the valve's in, the power's on. Let's wait for it to warm up, shall we, and see what happens. That's on. That's on full. Actually, I'll go on to full power here because I'm that way inclined. And so now we should get what's down here. So we should get something on there. We do. Okay. Nothing. Nothing. Not a lot there either, actually, which is interesting. Okay, so the other side of it, the other side of that. Okay. So let's have a look round so we can find out what's where here and find out. So okay. So going in on the triode side of the ECL86, on the triode side, which is pin 1, that's okay, and pin 8 over here, which is that one, there's nothing there either. It says virtually no there. Okay. I lost a bit there. My own fault. I forgot to plug the camera in and switch the plug on. Anyway, what I've done is I've put in the other valve, the ECC83, and now if I do that, I'll put that on the safe side. That is now working actually, so we'll deal with that later on. Interesting that. Anyway, now of course we should get, if I was to, that comes up okay. So now if we go on the top of the head here, see what we get. Aha! That means therefore that the amplifier for the head is now working. Now as far as the deck is concerned, there, that, okay, fine. Ah, even better, right, so with that, so now that's now doing that, and that, and that, okay. So what I'll do now is I'll very quickly put a tape on and see what comes out of it. Something should. I don't know what, but something should. Just for the heck of it, we'll see what it does. The smoothing cap actually doesn't seem to be getting too hot now, so obviously it's reforming it. Which again is nice enough. I don't know what's on this tape, by the way, but I do know it's here, and I do know that I'll put it on and see what it does. So that goes onto there, that goes onto there, this goes onto here like that, and let's have a see what this thing does. Apart from make a noise, obviously. Even though it's an on this, there's something there. Try anyway. Forward a bit and see what. Well, that's doing the right lot of knocking, isn't it? Something there, but I don't know how good it is, and indeed how good the heads are. So I'll find it. I'll get another tape and we'll try that again with pre-recorded tape. I've got one which is pre-recorded but has been damaged somewhat, so I'll find that and we'll try it. Let's try again, shall we? We'll tape past me doing, which I expected. There we go, so it's now doing something right, so basically now, the next thing to do therefore is take that off, put it back in its box, or at least put it over there, turn the power off, and now it's all mechanical stuff, so clean, take apart, clean again, you know, all the usual stuff, you know, that these machines need. All machines of this type need. That's the next thing we have to do. So I think we'll start with this wheel here. So glasses on, well, how it's put on. By the way, I've got a tub full of these clips, so if it flies everywhere, I'm not so fussy now, but I obviously I'd prefer them not to. There, that's off. Right, okay, so that comes off. That comes off. And this should come off, and it does. How about that? Now there's a little bit of a kink in this, so I'll give it a clean, and we might not be able to do a right lot about the noise, but we'll do our best with it. So what I'll do, I'll clean that, I'll clean that, I'll clean round here, and of course I'll that as well. So that's the next thing we'll do. Then I'll take the motor out and give it a quick clean, and make sure we align this so that it doesn't actually make this problem here. If you look, you see there, you've got a little bit of a you see a little bit of a kink there. So it might come out with a bit of time and patience, but we don't know for sure. I've not got anything that size, so if it doesn't, well, it doesn't basically. But let's see. First of all, clean all that, and that, and see if it makes things any better. One thing about tape recorders, record players, anything with rubber bits like this, is that they do tend to age with time. The one cure for that is this stuff. It's called Rubber Renew, and it's not very nice stuff, shall we say. It really isn't. You know, you just, you know, you don't play with this stuff basically, because it's not. It's the same stuff that you used to get actually to on the rollers at print books. Maybe you do, I don't know. I've not been to print books for ages. But what this stuff does is it does what it says on the tin, literally on the bottle. Basically, it renews the rubber. Yeah, it renews the rubber. Now it does this with some rather interesting chemicals. And so after you actually renewed it, because look at that, like now you see, after you've renewed it, as it were, you have to leave the workshop for a bit and wash your hands. Okay, let the stuff get out of the atmosphere, because it's not really suitable for consumption. Certainly don't drink it or anything, and if you spill it, you know, get it quick basically. You know, it's not nice stuff. One thing about this that's interesting is the speed control here. It's on the very back of the unit here, and it works by moving that up and down, similar in a way to you know, well, not similar in that way to a record changer, but it moves the whole motor actually. And the motor, of course, drives one of these things, the record player-ish, of course, which drives this wheel here, which I've cleaned and put back in. I've got to find a way of holding that in actually, because believe it or not, it came out with a trouble, because it's not held in under here. So turn around, you see, like that. It's this here, and it's not even, it's this here. I can't see that, can you? Hang on a second, I'll see if I can get it in focus. Hang on. Yeah, this here drives the eyes up above, and that should be held in, but it's not. The top of the unit is held in the normal way, but there's no way to hold that at all. So I'll have to have a think about that. Now at this point, actually, there's still that hump going one way, but it's not as bad as it doesn't make any noise in the other direction at all. What I'm doing here, by the way, is I'm making this tape hopefully work better. This one has been Well, I might not be able to do anything with this actually, for various reasons. This is a tape which is, I don't know what's happened to it, but one thing I will say about tapes very quickly, is there are in fact two types. Most that you come across are what's called polyester based tapes. They're common. But back years and years ago, there was another kind of tape as well, and that tape was very different in the way it handled and what it did and everything else. And that particular form of tape was called acetate tape. Now, acetate tape hasn't stood the test of time for very well, as you see here. Basically, I'm using to check the wines now. Put the wheel back and clean the spindles. But acetate tape, how to tell the difference? Well, first of all, if you put it up to the light in that, I'll show you that in a minute. It will, in fact, a lot of light through these days. Yeah. Polyester tape doesn't. Okay, and also polyester tape stretches if you're pulling it. Acetate tape breaks rather sharply. That's the other thing we need to worry about. See what I mean? So I don't know what's happened here, but something else. Yeah, it's broke. Acetate tape does this too. You know, it just does. You know, I mean, this is. I mean, that lot can go levels. You know. Basically, what I was doing here was I was checking to see the wines. Now, if I was to switch on a light here, like this one, okay, like that one perhaps? No, not bright enough that, is it? Okay, hang on a sec, I'll find something we can use. Hang on. Acetate tape, as you can see there, you can see the light through it. That's the light. There it is through the tape. You see it actually. It's all it's up to light. You can always see through it like that. You see that's acetate tape. Looks like now anyway. Polyester based tape is much more common, and you see there, you can't actually see through it in the same way. That's the middle there. But you see there, you can't see through it in quite the same way. Okay, so that's polyester based tape. That is acetate based tape. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, acetate tape based tape. If you've got something valuable, which you've got an acetate based tape like this, acetate based tape, then get it onto something else quickly, because it is, these days, it's not good stuff in many ways. I mean, look at that. That's a total difference. And also, if I should get a bit like that, I can break it off with my hands, I think. And I can't do it with one hand, but you can. Actually, it will break very, very sharply, rather than this stuff which doesn't. Okay, so the acetate on polyester based tape, that's the difference there. You might as well see what's on this. And it was lining in the by changing, we know that. Okay, it's gone now. whatever that is, you know. Anyway, I'll finish winding it on so we have a spare wheel, and that wheel is still making a bit of a racket, so I'll have another look at that and see what we can do. And so when a tape deck is making noises like that, or like that, it won't do it on, well, it will do it on play actually now. Doesn't always because of that under there, but it's okay now. Anyway, first thing you do, does it do it both directions? Yes, it does. Okay, right. That's the first thing. The next thing to do, yes. So with that down a bit like that, like that. Does it okay that way? Does it that way? Okay, so therefore what we need to do is take that off and put in another washer under there to press it down a bit, and hopefully that'll fix it. Well, what I've done is I've put this wheel back on with more washers in there, and it does seem to have calmed it down a bit. You can see that it's still doing it a bit, but not as bad as before. But something, funny enough, only on this one. Anyway, another thing with this, by the way, it's is vaguely interesting, is that the way it is actually means that how we set the speed control actually affects the wind as well, because of course it will be quicker or slower, which is interesting to say the least. But anyway, I will now put this back on again, and we'll look at the tape path, and maybe put some new pressure pads on, because I think that's the next thing with this, you know. So prior to that, innit? That's at 7.5, by the way. So of course it's a bit more than it should be. It's right on there. Okay. Okay. Try that. There we are. Let's see what that sounds like now. Now with this, actually, another thing to note is that you notice that it put that way, it goes that way, and put it that way, it goes that way. That is not a fault. It is in fact the way this thing was built. Look on the back here, you see it, you know, it goes that way and it goes that way, and that is how it was designed, so that is not a fault. I know it looks like it, but it's not. Yeah, anyway, so now if you look down at the front here, I think the next thing we do is sort out so I'll take that pressure pad, because if I do as you see there, that actually makes it a bit better. So first thing we'll do is put a better pressure pad on there and see what happens then. Actually, the problem wasn't the pressure pad. There's the system here, which when play is activated, puts the pad up to the tape head, and it was stuck behind the pillar here. So I've taken it apart and put it back together again, and now I soon found out beyond all doubt. There you go. Another way. Yeah, that's something else which Elizabethan tape recorders do tend to do. So the deck, as far as I know, I'll keep an eye on it, is okay. That still goes click a little bit, but hopefully it'll settle down. But when the thing is together, it won't be quite so noticeable. But next problem is this. I soon found out beyond all doubt the scope. Right, now, you might not think there's a problem there, but that was at full whack. It should be a hell of a lot louder than that. I'll start by having a quick look at the circuit, because why not, you know, it's where things start. Anyway, mains in, that's okay. Now this line up here goes across to the other end there. That is the pencil section of the ECL86 there. Now, first of all, I measured here, which is higher than it should be, and here, which is higher than it should be. Okay. Now then, if we go to the other half of the diagram, like that, you see, and we measure here, it's lower than it should be there. I know this is the LZ29, this is a 30, but these tape recorders are very much of a muchness, so this is the need what I could find. You have to do that sometimes, okay. So if that is lower than it should be, and that is higher than it should be, what do you think it could be? Well, first of all, that capacitor, but also that resistor there. Okay. The resistor in question is supposed to be 680k, I think it is. 680k. Okay. So it's 6, 8 and 3 zeros. 680k. Okay. Right, therefore, if that goes onto there like that, that is not showing very much. That's okay. That's okay. I'm reading now. 776 or 770. So that is obviously up rather higher than it should be. So we'll start by swapping that. And also, looking at the circuit, there's this capacitor on 16 microfarads, which is one of these daily capacitors, which are, shall we say, known. So I'll change both of those two if I've got them in, and take it from there. A new resistor has gone in. It's not 68k because I've not got one, it's slightly less, but in that situation what you do is look at the valve online and make sure that you're still within its parameters, and in this situation you should be alright. So now if I power it up now like that and put the meter on and bring it up to 200 volts like that, we now have to look and see what's it like there first of all. To the 82. As it warms up, this voltage will drop, of course, so That's what it's doing now. Okay, so and there we go. So now 270 volts. That's a bit higher than it should be, but the two anodes of the ECC83 is well within spec, so that will probably do. You can get away with a lot more with alphas than you can transistors. But anyway, at this point now, of course, if we were to go on to the go and loop round here a bit, you will find that the voltages are a lot more what they should be on the power side, which might bring up the audio a bit. Now, of course, it should be 200 volts, 270 volts here. Should be less, I know, but there you go, 277. Okay, that is now at 189. But the in this situation, that's a bit higher than it should be, and well, that's also higher, but it's still within specs for the valve. Listen to the crackles, by the way. That's something which we didn't have before. No, at this point, therefore, now very quickly we'll have a look on the ECLX6, which is 266 volts, which is a little bit high for there. Yeah, and the other side of it, the that is 225, and the grid voltage, I think, is something like 6 volts. Again, that's rather high, but again, with valve stuff, that might be okay. I don't know. So anyway, with that in mind, therefore we got that is this vista here, 292 and 277. Now the circuit even puts that high, so there is in fact more voltage than there should be on the bridge as well. So it's up across the board, which doesn't really cause much of a problem at this stage, I hope. So now I shall put this thing back down on the bench where it should be, put some tape in and give it another try. So now we get the tape, put the tape back on the machine, same one of course. By the way, the acetate based tape's broken again, so it's I'm not quite sure whether we should do anything with that, or just keep the wheels and bin the tape, quite frankly, because it's certainly doing funny things, shall we say. Anyway, on it goes, on it goes, up it goes, and see what we'll get here. That's looking okay. Looking okay. Yeah, it's still not 100%, but it's better than it was. Now, in this situation now, the problem that we have is that it does that on one, which is quite common for these machines actually. Now it's either a valve, which is possible, or something else in the chain. But in the meantime, another thing I'm going to do very quickly, just to prove a point here, is I'm going to try and erase some of this tape, and that is because these machines, these are Elizabethan machines, and they're this era, and they're all very common, by the way. They're all very much of a muchness, these. So you know, these actually, they all work in a very similar way, but all do. But these Elizabethan machines of this type, they're all very similar electronically. I know this is an LV30. I know that the machine I had was an LZ29 rather than an LZ30. That's not a problem because it's a very similar machine. The only difference is that the LZ29 has the Colorado Studio deck rather than what this one is. So there you are with that. So I'll put this on now, like that. That's clever. Well, that needs to be looking at, doesn't it? Okay, well what I'll do at this point now, you see, okay. Now we've found that. Let it do a few turns like that. Well, that's okay. That's okay, so we know that that's okay. Now, also on these decks, it's quite ingenious what they do, because they actually, on these decks, the tape recording side of it, the pencil side of it is switched into an oscillator, and that oscillator, of course, goes and goes to the erase head and to the recorder as well. So that's something which you have to look about, you know. So anyway, it switches the two apart. So that's something else which you have to think about a little bit at least. Anyway, that proves to me that the oscillator side of it appears to be working. So next thing I'll do is I'll get a tape recorder microphone, plug it in, and see if it records it, how well it records as well, because that gave me a clue to the amplifier not being big enough as well. Also, of course, this is not the speaker for this. This is an 8-on speaker rather than 3. Doesn't matter very much, I don't think, but I will find it the correct speaker at some point as well. A microphone has been acquired, and we'll put there. So what we do now, I'll switch it to playback here like that, and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A boy stood on the burning deck, selling peas a penny a peck. Did he wash his dirty neck? No, did he heck. That's an old poem, by the way, that I used to use as a kid. There's a ruder version, but maybe not here. So let's see what. That's low as well, isn't it? Might be this microphone, of course, but not sure exactly on that one. I might try it with another mic actually, but for now, record is not as important as play on these. So you know, I'll. there we are. Right, well, yeah, okay. This down here, by the way, there's a switch and this should be held down. When that goes in, I'll put the button on, see if that helps as well. So what happens here? Well, first of all, the switch is here, okay? It's this here, and you press it down, and it goes up and down accordingly. Okay, so it's quite interesting that way. So now that is now on play like that, and that is now on record. That's playback, and it's like that, and it's on record now. This is this goes to this here, which goes here like that, you see, and it comes to the switch here. So the first thing I'll do is give it a dose to the old spray, because it's that might be the first thing to try, is just to loosen it slightly. So do it there, do it there. I'll leave it for a minute while I leave it for a minute while I yeah, okay. I think it needs to be the right way up for it to work actually, but there you go. So here you see, if we now go to record there, that now goes up like that, and when that goes up like that, that spring is secure. But now bring it back down again like that, and that spring is still. I wonder if that's in the wrong place actually. It's possible, you know. It doesn't seem to go any further, you know, so I'll have a look online for this deck and find out how it works. I'll leave that out for now. So I'll do that, and also I'll check while I'm here. I'll check the resistors as well, because that playback is not as good as it should be. Now, in this situation, everything in the playback line, or record line actually in this case, is likely to be a problem. So first of all, that goes to deck like that. Pin 2 here, down here, should be 8.2 megohms. Don't know why that's there, but it obviously is. So switch on like that. I hate meters that do that, you know, I really do. Okay. Find out which way that goes, shall we? Okay. How about on there? That's okay. So now that goes down to here. That's okay. and 220k goes to pin 1, and so that goes to nothing there. Okay, wait a minute, that's okay, so I'll check right there anyway, but the first thing I'll check actually is resistor R4 and R12, because either one of those two could give this problem. So I'll look at those before we go any further. First of all, I've tensioned that, so that looks okay now, or should do where the power is applied. And I'll also changed these two daily caps here. That's these things. Anything with daily on it is suspect. They really are. They haven't stood the test of time all that well. Some capacitors do, and capacitors don't. A lot of the caps on here actually, the ones that are using Philips tape recorders, the yellow dirty ones, you know, they don't fail. They don't seem to fail. But you know, these things now, they might have been okay at the time, but now out on tight. So let's see what happens with it now. I think this is a bit more like it.
2 and 20 now he's rising, and alone he's fit to fly, which prevents some signalizing with unusual rare.
So that is done. That's okay. So now let's try recording on it again. See, recording is not as much of a problem, but we'll see. Okay, so I'll put the tape on like that. Just a second, actually. I'll go and get another microphone, because I'm not sure about the one I had previously. Where's the Tesla? One Tesla microphone. Let's go and see if it'll record. 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. That sounds hopeful, doesn't it? Right, okay. 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. I think that's pretty much alright, that. Anyway, so now this button down here, I think there's a bit missing off it. I'll have another look and see, but I've retensioned that, and it just doesn't hold it down. So I don't know. I'll have another go at it, then we'll see what happens here. But we'll go to the classic to see if it make a difference. Actually, one of them was the wrong value as well. So yeah, they were both on the diagram here meant to be 16 microfarads. One was a 1, so possible. Anyway, yes. Also, I need a speaker for it that it'll fit in its case, actually, because I don't think this one will, and I need that one anyway. So I'll have to find a speaker for it. I found something speaker which will go in the case. And as you can see there, it works fairly well. So now it's a case of putting that in the case and lacing it up in the case, and that's one thing sorted. Now, of course, I don't know about this thing though, the record play switch. I really don't. I keep meaning to have a go at it, and I will again, but I can't see quite how it does what it does and why it does it, you know. So I really do need a diagram for this, but there doesn't seem to be one anywhere. So I'll have another look. I said another look. Right, well, it's back in the case, and as always with putting things back together again, always check and make sure that it is okay at every turn. That's very, very important, because otherwise things can happen. Anyway, okay, that's looking okay apart from the speaker, which I'll sort out. And also now we need to what I've got again, and we'll wind this tape off like so, like so, like so, and like so. Okay. And I think there's something with this pressure pad again. I'll check that as well. As far as I can tell, it is okay. It might, but the head's realigning again, because I had a bit of a problem getting it back in the case, shall we say? Well, a lot of a problem actually. With these, by the way, two other things. First of all, the flex cable went out there before on, you know, that caused it to be damaged. So what I've done, the hole in the back here, I don't know what was there, but now it's a flex cable, so that's sorted. And of course the speed control on this is at the back here, so it's quite interesting, because you have to actually adjust the speed from here on the back. You pull it out, up or down, and it will change it accordingly. Anyway, I now have to sort out the speaker again, and the heads, of course, the tape path, and find some knobs for it as well, because there's only one with it. It's this one, and it needs four, so I'll try and find it. 4 knobs that will fit, so that's something else. And this is a unit put back together. I set same for knobs for it. This one doesn't want to go on right now, so I'm going to widen it slightly. But if I switch it on there like that, it should come up. It does. So here we go. Let's see what happens. It should play. Should play. Ah, here we are. Yeah, I think this machine actually is what's called a bitsy machine. Bits of this one, bits of that one. It's probably more prevalent in the telephone collecting world. This one has had a number of faults. It had no speakers, but it's got one in now. I've got the deck working again. Some way it's a bit of a noise, but seems okay. Knobs are here. The flex was running out the back and it dented it quite badly, so it's running out of here rather than out of here. Record works okay. It's quite a nice machine, but it's been, I don't know where it's been, but it's been somewhere where people are, somebody looked at it, it wasn't really an engine here. The bits missing and all sorts. But it's working again now. That's the end of the track, by the way. It's a 3-speed machine. You can speed controls on the back here. The only thing I don't like about it is here, because when you put a new tape on and press play, you have to go through rewind to do it. So if you don't put the tape on properly, it comes off again. But there's there it is, and there it is. That's what here there. So that's another thing with these, by the way. I'm not quite happy about. These are nice machines. I never found the diagram for the LZ30, so I was on my own with the deck, but I've sorted that. As far as the electronics are concerned, there are much of a muchness with these sets. This, which I've used, is laid out differently, but it's a similar sort of circuit. It's the LZ29, which is the same machine, but with a Colorado Studio deck on. The tapes that were on it, that's the tape-based tape. I'm sorry, I know that people tend to want to look at old tape and see what's on it, but it's not worth it with that. It's you breathe on it and it breaks, so it's going to go the way of all things of that kind. I keep the reels, but not the tape. So there you are. It's a working machine again after all this time. Very interesting machine. So, with that in mind, I'll see you soon here on Steve's Long Stay Vintage Radio, Vintage Electronics Workshop. Take care. And Christmas is coming, the bids are getting fat, etc. But I will be here just before Christmas as well. So, take care. Bye-bye.